Hey kids, if you want to go see a total mess, go see Hologram for the King. Yeah, I don't like this movie. Alright, so basically, this movie does not have a definitive plot whatsoever. So the title suggests that he's selling a program to display holograms in front of the King of Saudi Arabia. The reason why the King wants these holograms isn't really exactly fleshed out. Like, they don't really talk about it very much. They might spend 10 minutes talking about why exactly they're selling this hologram, and the movie's an hour and a half. Go figure. And there's like 10 different things going on in this movie, and they don't spend enough time on any of them. Like, they spend a little bit of time talking about how you're not supposed to consume alcohol of any kind in the country, and they spend a little bit of time with his driver, who randomly exits the movie after being in it for about half hour, 45 minutes, and you're like, I liked him. Why? And then it kind of sort of touches on the fact that he's divorced and his ex-wife is kind of a twat, and then a slightly more important yet even less touched on plot is his relationship with his daughter and how he's coping with her growing up and having memories about her, but it doesn't say anything about her character. She is essentially a flashback. And then the goofy subplot of like the bulbous growth on his back, which of course leads him to the totally uninteresting love interest, and that's a whole subplot in and of itself. I felt like that's what this movie was. It was just a series of subplots. Like, the whole reason for the movie is because he's trying to sell this hologram program to the king, and it just felt like a footnote in the entire movie, and that's the title of the movie. Another thing I didn't like is that they tried way too hard to have funny moments in the movie. There was just way too many moments where they were just kind of like, it's funny, right? It's funny. It's a joke. And I just did not find that funny very often. Long story short, this movie has a muddled plot that doesn't focus on anything long enough for you to care about it, and therefore you don't care about the entire movie as a whole, and I thought the movie kind of failed. However, it's not the worst movie that I've ever seen, because you know it's got Tom Hanks, and you know he's awesome in everything. It doesn't matter how shitty the movie will be, he always brings his A game, and you're getting your money's worth. Another thing that I liked was the guy that drove him around was actually kind of a cool character. And yes, it's true, he's kind of responsible for most of the lines that came off as, hey, this is funny, right? And half the time it's not, but I have to admit, he was probably the highlight of the movie. Which, again, that could have been the through line. What they could have done is they could have used his driver as his attaché to the entire culture as a whole, and then Tom Hanks could learn like an entire life lesson from just speaking to his driver. That is a movie that I could get behind. Like, if they had this totally mundane experience as having a driver to do a job for somebody, and you learn so much about life just from this one person, having something so mundane like that turn into an extraordinary emotional experience would have been way more satisfying than the shit pile that we got. A couple other tiny positives is the music was decent. One of the big things that I actually liked about the movie was that they showed Middle Eastern people in their kind of 9-to-5 Joe Schmo type setting. And you don't see that very often. People forget that there's over 1 billion Muslims in the world, and a lot of them are just, they don't want to hurt anybody. They just want to live their life. Granted, there are those, you know, people that are a lot more violent than other people, but they're a fringe group. This movie does show you that a lot of Middle Eastern people are just average people. I thought that was nice to see. So, long story short, I had a lot of faith in the movie because I love Tom Hanks, and the director, Tom Tykwer, is one of the guys that took part in Cloud Atlas, and Cloud Atlas is easily one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I fell on the side that absolutely loved the movie and thought it was pure genius. So when I saw a preview for this movie, I was just like, oh shit, Tom Hanks, dude from Cloud Atlas, gonna be sweet, right? Yeah, not so much. So I'm gonna have to stick it with a 3.0. This movie had all the potential in the world to become like another version of Lost in Translation. That's kind of what I was expecting, given the director and Tom motherfucking Hanks, but it just fell flat, so I have to give it a negative score. But like I said, I really am glad that they showed like your average everyday Muslims just living their lives day to day. We just don't see it enough because that's boring and nobody cares to hear about it. But seeing it every once in a while is kind of healthy, and I enjoyed that aspect of it. Alright guys, I'm done yapping at you for today, so if you like the review, like, comment, subscribe, blah 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 blah. See you guys next time.